Hi, I'm Kaylee with Buckeye Cleaning. Fall and the holidays are right around the corner, and I wanted to let you know about the fantastic promo we have going on. Book with us now and receive $50 off of a deep clean or $25 off of your regular clean.
It is September, and we have two new sponsors of the month. That's right, Myers Family Insurance, handling all of your Medicare, life, and retirement needs. And also, we're messy, and Lord knows we need cleaning lady. Buckeye Managing LLC. That's right, they clean all of your houses, your businesses. Just totally awesome company. That's Tammy Russell at 330-502-7504. And then, of course, as always, Mayor Tim, Valley Insurance, handling all of your home.
The following show features stupid opinions and ideas from two idiot brothers who probably did little research and practiced zero due diligence on the topic at hand. The MLO's opinions do not reflect the views of their employer, guests, sponsors, families, neighbors, or pets. If you do not like what they are saying and don't agree with their views or opinions, don't watch the show. We can promise we do not care. Welcome to the worst show on the internet.
We are live with our English teacher.
With our high school English teacher. A blast from the past.
30 Mrs. Molnar, how are you?
I'm wonderful.
So if you're watching, make sure you like and follow this. If you're from South Range or you had Mrs. Molnar, you know Mrs. Molnar, make sure to put in the comments and say hello. We got 33 people. I know there's some South Range people in there.
And you know, like going to high school, it's taboo to say the teacher's first name, and hearing Bonnie and saying Bonnie, I can't do it. I can't say it.
Does everybody call you Mrs. Molnar? So whenever they see you, does anybody throw out the Bonnie?
No, I have a few students that call me Bonnie.
I couldn't do it.
Not gonna happen.
Can't do it.
I know.
Not gonna happen. Alyssa Ray says hi.
That's Alyssa Rowan. Now Alyssa Bazzacco.
Carrie Munson. Carrie. What was it? Carrie Cox. Carrie
Cox.
Carrie Cox. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just forgot Carrie's maiden name. That's kind of weird. Yeah, look at everybody's on here. So all right. So
We'll have more people come in.
I was thinking, like, what do you ask Mrs. Molnar?
I have some good ones.
Okay, so can I? Let's get her history, because I honestly don't know.
Get her history, Luke.
My history.
So yeah, because it was like I was in high school, and I don't know if I knew this and I forget, or I just never paid attention, which is probably more of the second one.
So-
where are you from?
Yeah, originally.
I'm from Warren, Ohio.
I didn't know that.
Didn't know that
Yeah.
either.
There you go.
I still spend a fair part of time in Warren, Ohio. That's
Mhm.
where half my family lives.
Okay.
My siblings.
Did you go to Warren? Harding?
Yeah, Harding.
She's a freaking Harding. That's hardcore.
That's awesome.
yeah.
I love
I
it.
didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah.
Warren Harding. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. And when did you graduate? You gonna date yourself?
1968.
68.
Okay.
Some
Yeah.
good math in my head to figure out how old she is.
I'm 72.
Good thing she's our English teacher and not our math teacher.
I was never good at English or math in high school.
So when did you start teaching?
I started teaching in 1991.
And was that at South Range, or where
It
was that?
was at South Range. Yeah. I had been offered a job at Youngstown.
Okay.
And I had subbed at Youngstown the year before, and I really loved it.
Mhm.
And I accepted the job, but then they called me back and said, sorry, you have to live in Youngstown to teach in Youngstown. I said, not moving.
All right.
Mhm.
So then I had a job at Western Reserve,
Okay.
but it was a temp,
Okay.
and they couldn't guarantee me a permanent position. And then Mr. Hall,
All right.
there was this job that opened up. And so I canceled. I told the Western Reserve folks that I wasn't interested.
Mhm.
And I took the job at South Range.
And your kids went to South Range already.
Yes.
Exactly. As Isaac is 4 years older than Nate. 5.
Isaac graduated the year before I started teaching, for which he always
so
was. He was enormously grateful.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure he was. Wow. Okay.
And Sarah was a senior my very first year.
Sarah was.
And did you start out in high school English?
Yep.
And was it always freshman and senior English, or was it
Yep.
really? Wow.
So you come in. Your daughter has you the senior year.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
It was terrible.
Huh.
Could you imagine? Was
Your
she, like,
first
embarrassed?
year.
It was terrible.
Wow.
And I put being a mom ahead of being a teacher,
Okay.
which probably wasn't good, but I'm a mom first. And I just didn't want everyone to hate me. and then to take it out on her. So I
Oh.
was way too nice.
You're seeing your first year.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Yes. Wait. Yeah. It took
You were
me a
too
while.
nice overall to everybody.
Yeah. Because I
Okay.
didn't want anyone to give her
So did
flack.
they take advantage of your first year?
Oh yes, as you would expect them to, and as they should. I mean, if someone gives you,
Yeah.
a mile, you take a mile.
So then, all right. So that's your first year.
Yeah.
And you were English, so freshman English and senior English.
Yep.
Mhm.
And how long did you teach for?
24 years.
So she caught the Schusters right
In the
Yeah.
perfect window.
in like the
Yeah.
perfect window
Yeah.
because she had me and you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I was her last year. I
Yes.
graduated and we were packing up. Like we're
Yeah.
both packing up at the same time.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And I remember going into her class on the last day and asking her, like, so you had all 4 Schusters. What was that like? And just
Well,
give
hold
it.
on,
I'm like, since it's your last day, you can tell me. It's
Oh,
no big deal. Like you're not gonna get fired. Who was your
Let's
favorite?
keep talking about before we get into the Schuster stuff. Let's keep talking because I know you're just dying.
I just want
dying
I just
to hear
can't
the
wait
Schuster
to I just can't wait to hear it. Luke.
Before we do, let's just hold tight a little bit. Then we're gonna start because I know what
I've
you're
got
gonna
other
say,
good questions. I've got other good
I have-
questions about
and
teaching.
I have ways to defend myself up here. I'm just gonna say. All right.
Okay.
So look at the comments. So we got Wayne Baird says, "Hell, Mrs. Molnar, hello." Oh geez, Dad's watching. Fred Schuster. When I hired Bonnie,
Dad
when
hired when
her,
you hired her,
I
Dad.
told her I prayed for her because she's gonna have 4 Schuster kids. Well, you had how many kids you had?
4.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and
Yeah.
you had all your kids too, right?
Yeah, they were the worst.
Yeah, exactly. Hi, Mrs. Oh, there's Shelby.
Schuster.
Oh, Richard Lotz is on here too.
When she was teaching, our
Your
kids
father and I were on the school board when she was teaching. Our kids loved her. There you go.
Yeah.
Mr. Lotz is on there.
Nathan and his older sister.
We got all kinds of stuff here.
Hall loved her.
Hopefully lives on the course.
Dad's just making stuff up now.
Hall
We
loved
named
her.
Isaac after her son Isaac.
No,
I've never
you
heard. I've never
did
heard that before,
not.
Dad. I've
Dean,
never-
there's Dean.
If he knew Isaac, he wouldn't have named him.
Yeah. Dean Anthony. Hi, Mrs. Molnar. Well, actually,
That's
wait.
Dean Diego.
Dean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So wait a second. Actually, Isaac, and she's a Luke too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Only mine are switched.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
hers are switched. Yeah, that's true too. That's a good point. I forgot about that. So Lots number 3. There you go. Nathan Lots number 3. Oh, Nathan's on here too. You get everybody showing up, Mrs. Molnar. So let's. I want to ask you some questions about teaching.
Yeah.
So you went for 23 years.
24.
24. How different was it, the kids and the parents, from the first year to the 24th year? That was what
That's a
question. I was
good
thinking. Isn't that a
question.
good
Yeah,
question?
because you
I
have
was-
technology changes. You have
I think you have an overall attitude of parents.
Yes.
So that was. How's
Well,
that?
you had a real demographic change. When I started, it was rural suburban,
Okay.
and it was middle lower class suburban.
Right.
And when I quit, it was a much wealthier district.
Oh, it's this place that everybody wants to go. You know,
Yeah.
that Poland and Canfield. Those are the top
Yeah.
3 all the time.
When my oldest son graduated from high school, there were 2 valedictorians. They both had 4 points. And then the next leap down was like 3rd place with a 3.6.
Right.
When I quit teaching, there were like 20 valedictorians.
There's a lot
Real.
our year. There were like at least.
I mean,
at
they were
least
just
5 or 6,
enormous.
and then
How does that happen? Just everybody gets
It-
never.
everybody gets 4.0s, and we didn't have like a ranking
Just make it
system
harder.
within the
Well, that's
4.0.
what they it went into effect after I quit, but they did
Mhm.
do that.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, and the kids actually got much better behaved.
The longer they went.
Uh-huh.
Wow. That's
Yeah, you would
interesting.
not have thought that, would you?
Yeah, you
No.
jerk face.
I would have thought we'd be. I think you guys would be worse.
No.
We are angels.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe. Hold on. Let me throw this out here. Maybe we like loosened her up.
No.
Like,
No.
So that,
School
I have
wide,
a
they were
question
better.
about that actually. So
So school wide, they were better.
Yeah.
Really, and I wouldn't think that. Okay.
Well, everybody's parent wanted them to get good grades, and that was not the case when I started. I mean, there was great involvement with kids.
Yeah.
There was tremendous in there. I wouldn't say that those parents cared any less about their kids,
right.
but not all those kids were going to go to college. their future wasn't in, their grades. It wasn't as important. Yeah, it really was.
So the behavior has to do with the change of the kids, or the change of the
Demographic
socio-economic
Yeah.
status of the school district. Wow.
I also think, and I don't know if this is a controversial thing to say
No,
or
fair.
not, but as Greenford Christian Church got larger and larger, I think our district was kind of seen as a magnet in
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who went to that church, talked to other people who went to that church and maybe lived there, and they said, oh yeah, South Range is a good school,
Yeah.
and I think more kids went there, and they're taught certain
absolutely.
values.
I would say
Yeah.
values and everything else. I mean, that makes sense.
So-
So and you also had developments going in.
Yeah.
So you had bigger houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had, again, like you said, higher income. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does make sense.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. That's good.
I loved my early year rough and tumble South
Right.
Range.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things I missed
Yeah.
about that. I missed kids that would really say, well, why am I even doing this?
Right.
Mm.
Because no one wanted to do that too much.
Right.
And then because they all wanted to get the A and they didn't want to ruffle feathers too much.
See, that makes sense. Boy, we ruffled feathers in my grade.
Oh my God, you started and never quit.
Back to Luke's theory, though. Back to Luke's theory.
We'll talk about my grade. My grade, because one of her sons is in my grade.
Yeah.
So we all knew her, and
Yeah.
it made it so much worse. because
Yeah.
we'll talk
It
about
was so hard to stand up as an upstanding citizen when you were the mother of Nathan Molnar. It was so hard.
And Nathan was a bit of a troublemaker too. So, but the
Yes.
problem is we all grew up with Mrs. So we knew
Yeah.
her growing up.
Yes.
She played basketball, sports. So it was just like it was.
Yes.
We'll talk
So
about it. It was good.
as time went on, though, I think Luke's theory is a little bit true, where you eased up over time, because were you always teaching the same type of material, or did you change over time? Because by the time you got to me, we were doing some stuff where we should have been doing like Hamlet, and we were watching The Godfather. Do you remember that?
Well, you shouldn't have been doing Hamlet.
Or there were
But-
certain things
Romeo
we
and
were
Juliet?
skipping.
You did wrong.
Yeah, we did Romeo and Juliet. Did you watch the movie? And then she when with Leo.
Isaac, we changed the course of Mrs. Molnar's.
I know.
teaching of Romeo and
But like
Juliet.
when she brought in the TV and she has to cover up the screen so you don't see the butt, and then she brings it back down. You remember that? And everybody's like, let's see the butt, Mrs. Molnar.
I don't remember that.
It was actually, I think I got tougher as a teacher the more I taught.
Did you? Okay.
Yes.
Tougher.
Yes.
Wow, there you go.
There's a huge learning curve, and
As you
my
teach. Yeah,
as
that
my
makes
poor first couple years, those students, if they learned anything,
Yeah.
it was a miracle.
Wow.
But I mean, there were things like we watched The Godfather. There were books we were reading that the average high school student doesn't read, like The Things They Carried.
Oh,
A Long Way
Yeah.
Gone. We watched Wall-E and broke it down
Yeah, no.
into
we didn't do any of that stuff.
Okay. When we watched Godfather,
Yeah.
generally I timed those when there were band trips.
Oh,
When
I just didn't realize
half
it.
the school was out.
There you go.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
that's her version of bringing in the thing
Yeah,
to keep you
I
guys
And we
mean-
safe.
still wrote papers on it, and you made us think. It wasn't just
Yeah.
okay, we're watching.
Well, The Godfather is the
Yeah.
equivalent. I mean, movies are our equivalent of literature, I think, and that was
Oh,
great
100%.
stuff.
That's a good. That's a
So-
good.
And as any good movie lover, she's like, "We're watching Godfather," and everybody's like, "Let's watch the second and third one." She's like, "No, those stink. We're not watching those."
No. The second one is really good.
Oh no, the second one's okay. Third one's bad.
Third one's trash.
But no, and the books, the things they carried, they teach that at West Point. They teach that at
That's a
lot
great
of
book,
different schools.
though.
It was a really good. I thought it was a
About
challenging
Nam,
book.
about Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what we read. Like
You read
the Giver.
That was
no,
sophomore English.
sophomore
Okay,
English.
that was a good book.
Yeah.
What did we read?
You read I forget, it was by Walter Dean
We probably didn't read it, to be fair.
Meyer, and it wasn't as complex a book, because at the time I remember mistakenly, this is where you learn, mistakenly thinking, well, these guys aren't honors, they're
Nathan
not going to
wants
be
is helping me.
English majors, let's read a book that talks about the same kind of issues. You can still talk about setting, character development, all that kind of Englishy stuff, but you're not going to lose kids in the middle of it. But with their class, I taught the things they carried, which is taught in colleges a lot and can be used on the AP exam, because I had kids come to me and say, how come we're not reading that?
Really?
And they read it and they said, it's really good. And I said, okay, let's teach it.
I've never read it.
Fantastic book. It's about Vietnam and the things they carry basically home with them after Vietnam.
Ooh,
it's very good. Yeah, very good.
It's an excellent
Nathan
book.
Lotz says, I think we read about 15 books senior year. He was the year below me, but he might have been an honor student. He says Heart of Darkness.
Yeah, bean trees. He should say something about that.
I feel Mike Firmson says, I feel like her and Strother's best English teacher, Richard Gage, would get along quite well.
I know Richard Gage.
There she knows him. There you go.
Mike Firmstone just commented too. I love your cinnamon rolls, Mrs. Molnar.
If only they were mine.
Trent from East. You got a lot of nerve calling South Range rednecks from mayor of East Palestine, Ohio. We're going to talk about the golf cart story. This is a good one. The golf cart, that is a legendary move.
I have another question before we get into
I am
shenanigans.
convinced Luke was a class. I really wasn't a class clown.
I was class clown. I was voted class clown.
I don't know. I wasn't. I was just. I don't know. It's hard to describe me. I'm a unique individual.
Oh, that's for sure.
You know what I am? You know what I was in high school? I'm like I am now, where I cause trouble.
Yeah.
But I try and fly under the radar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And I'll say, hey, why don't you try this out?
Yeah.
And then someone will do it.
Yeah.
And then I get blamed for it. Like that is a good. Is that a good definition? I mean,
I was the doer. People would say you should do this, and I was just stupid enough to do it.
I'm literally telling you.
Yeah, that's you telling me to do something, and I'll do it. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly what I'm.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, but I was like under the radar kind of thing, and then I get in trouble. All right.
So I've always wondered this. As a teacher,
Lisa Williams,
do you
that's on Mango Street. Sorry,
that's on Mango Street.
Oh yeah, we did that last 9 weeks. That was pretty.
Oh,
much.
Patty's yelling at us. Patty said, "Oh, here's our sister Patty. Patty Hernandez. She was my favorite teacher, and I know I was her favorite out of the 4. We're gonna find that out.
Oh,
House on Mango Street. All right. So sorry, Ezra, what were you saying?
I was holding in my snarky comments. Nathan Lotz.
That's about the bean trees. But he said we read about 15 books, which we did. We read so many books in that class. That was an AP class. But then we read we read the bean trees, and he hated it, and every boy in the class hated it.
That's amazing. Yes, I did wear sleeves. This is just this is kind of a new thing. This is what I do for the podcast. What other questions you got in there?
So my question was, do teachers I was always terrified. So you would have some teachers that you got along with much better than others. Mrs. Molnar was one of the ones that everybody got along with. But did you look at students and I felt
you ever what an ass?
In the eye of a teacher, I thought that I had my grade on my forehead. So I thought that they were, being a kid, I thought that they were judging me based off of my grade in their class. Do you think about students' grades as you're talking to them?
No.
I just thought it was I was terrified. So if I had a B or a C in somebody's class, I would be just terrified to talk to the teacher because I thought they were holding me. So you don't even think about it like that.
No.
Yeah.
What you look for? Yeah. Honestly, I had faces that I would look for because they looked like they were interested. And what you didn't want to do, I mean, that is look at a bored face.
Yeah.
If you looked or a face of someone who was interested, but it didn't show on their face.
Yeah.
They could be an A student, but if they looked like this was the worst class in the world they were in, you didn't want to look at them. But there could be a C or a D or an F student. And if they look like they were having a good time and a legitimate good time, then those are the faces you looked at. They were your anchors. That's the way it worked for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it worked that way for other teachers. Every teacher is different, you know.
Yeah, some teachers are probably going to go in there and just be teach their stuff and be done, right?
Yeah. Or they're going to look for troublemakers because they want to keep them all on task, you know. Or they could care less about being interesting, you know. I mean, I had to have some kind of positive feedback, so I looked for the engaged faces.
Also, I have a confession to make, Mrs. Molnar. So in high school, there were situations where I think you came up to me a couple times and you would hand me papers and you'd be like, Isaac, you didn't try on this one. I knew you just whipped it up out of nowhere and you didn't try hard and like you need to work harder and like this isn't your best work. So like you'd hand it over to me and then those every single time that was the situation. I did it the night before, but the Schusters had the Pamela Schuster editor for all of our papers if we timed it right. Since she was a nursing professor, she would have all these papers. So she'd be grading papers and I could have her proofread all my papers. So all of my so-called good papers were proofread and edited by my editor-in-chief, Pamela Schuster. And then she would give me like this whole sheet of all of my grammatical errors, which didn't help me at all long term. I still have awful grammar. But she would then hand it back to me and I'd go back to the computer and type it all in. And those were my good papers. And I knew every single time she was going to comment on it and call me out and be like, this isn't your best book. You need to do better. And I'm like, God darn, I just whipped the paper together last night. I didn't have time to have my mom look it over.
That's like,
and I could never admit it.
Let's be honest. Mom basically took
all classes for Patty. Yeah. Those were Patty's papers were Pamela Schuster's papers.
Like, wow. It's like some college grade stuff you got there, Patty.
Mom will probably come in the comment section. Yeah, that was a great book. I read that one. I read that one with you guys.
All right, let's see here. Okay, good question. Do you feel it's easier or more difficult to teach kids with all this new technology and the ease of information via the internet?
It's different.
Because we were just talking about before we started. I was chalkboard, VCR.
Yeah.
And she had like a little cassette player for music.
By 2012, we had the smart boards, the new school.
Yeah.
And we were watching movies through like a projector.
Well,
easier or harder?
When I started teaching, there was no Google. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I had to do when I was going to teach a book was do extensive research on background. Like if I was going to teach a book about Vietnam, I probably read about 5 books about Vietnam. Wow. If I was going to teach about the Holocaust, I read a whole bunch.
Right.
So that I had all these little anecdotes and stories. And that changed. You could have kids do the background, right? When you could, and that was a plus sometimes.
Yeah.
Kids, it makes for shallow research, whereas I had to read books.
Yeah.
They would read Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And overall, I would say, boy, you have access to information, so that getting access and learning that process is so important.
Yeah.
And before, you just had a mastery of information.
Boy, that's a good point. Well, think about that just in general world application. You could Google anything right now, and all of a sudden
you actually had by my senior year, I knew kids that were like Cliff Notes. Cliff Notes. So you could there were websites online where you could look up exactly like what the stories are about, and then there were situations where the website would tell you like, hey, these are the typical questions that are asked. So these are the typical answers you're going to be filling in and looking for.
Wow.
And these are the questions you're going to be looking for as well. So it's like you could, if you really wanted to.
So then as a teacher, you're trying to almost beat the
system,
right? Or no?
Well, in one way.
Yeah.
But in another way, they're getting what you would have asked, right?
Yeah.
No, that's true too.
So they're
reading all of that.
And they're kind of reading it anyway.
They're going through all the work to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I mean, I used to tell kids the least you can do is read Spark Notes. If you're not going to read the book, at least read the Spark Notes.
There you go.
So
hey, if you're watching right now, do us a favor. Please like and follow us. We just hit a milestone. Isaac, did you say we had 5,000 people following us out of nowhere? So we'd love you guys to like and follow us. Follow as they click the 3 little buttons. All right. Let's see here. You were, hold on. This is a big deal. I remember this. Mr. Lotz just said that. She led the small school quiz. You were always doing the quiz bowl stuff.
Nathan was in that too. Lots was in
I had the most amazing quiz bowl team. Our quiz bowl team was so good.
Yeah.
That we could walk into a room where there was maybe a school from Detroit and a school from Cleveland and a school from Dayton, and they would hear South Range and they would go, "Oh,
really?
Knew it. That's impressive.
Wow. So good." and that was Nathan was on 2 of those teams. He was
Mhm.
on
Lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow,
Lots
okay.
was very good at that stuff. Yeah.
He was on more than 2, but he bridged the 2 major groups. There was Jarrett Green, Kyle Dickey, John Scheffler, and Nathan, and then those guys were a lot older than Nathan.
That was 08,
Yeah.
07.
They won the
Yeah.
small school championship.
Wow. Yeah.
And then there was Brianna Prislipsky and Christian Moore. And
That's getting out of my.
Yeah.
that was the second to the last year. Sean Rast and
Oh, yeah. Okay. They were
Brian
younger than me.
Bishop.
Yeah.
Nathan. So Nathan was on 2, and to his credit, it was hard for him when the people he was used to graduated,
Yeah.
and then he was kind of nurturing these younger kids along.
Yeah.
He stuck it through. He was awesome.
I remember. Here's a good story. So I don't know if you probably don't remember this, Miss Molnar, but they would have like quiz bowl in the school,
Yeah.
right? And they would have teams
Mm.
from the school. So like they had like the quiz bowl team. They would have, and then I think we had like a class officer team. So it was like me, Derek, Larry, and Brandy.
Mhm.
And then it was like Larry, Derek, and we started playing against the teachers or the faculty.
Mhm.
And I was like, we're gonna kick the shit out of the faculty.
Yeah.
Right? They had this freaking janitor. What was his name?
John Clark.
John. And I'm like, so Derek, Larry, and are like, oh, freaking janitor. Come on.
Love
This
that.
dude was like a genius. I mean, they wiped us clean. He's like, I'm like, what is happening? Was that his name, John? Because you remember that? I mean, he killed us. And I was like, this isn't right. We're like,
That's
look at
awesome.
it. So yeah, the head janitor was like a super genius.
Teaching the kids a lesson.
In our early years, he wrote all our questions.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
So we're literally like we couldn't even click the button
The
in order to hit it.
the old life lesson: don't judge a book by its cover.
Seriously, it was amazing.
I had one of the funniest. It was just a funny situation, if you can imagine this, with Quiz Bowl. We were all lined up to go. I had these high school boys that I was taking to Chicago. We were playing and we were going to go to Chicago and do Quiz Bowl. And no, it was Atlanta. We were going to go to Atlanta. And anyhow, we got a message, pretty close to when we were leaving from the hotel that said, "Oh, I'm sorry. We thought we ought to notify you that we are also having a bondage convention at the
Jeez.
Wait, it gets better." And so I had to go to Mr. Rowan, and I said, "Mr. Rowan, I don't think this will be a problem, and we've certainly already paid, and we're all set to go, and the kids have been working really hard, and I don't think it'll be a problem. They've assured me." He said, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, there's a bondage convention." And he just stopped dead. And he just got this smile on his face. He said, "I'm going to call Mr. Dunham." He said,
It's got to go to the top for that
said,
one.
"And put you on speakerphone." He said, "because I want to hear this."
Did you go?
Yeah.
Oh, did you see anybody?
Oh my God, yeah. We had lunch at the same place. In the hotel. There are all these people with spiky collars.
Yes, that's
fantastic. And the quiz bowl right next to him.
And there was
Oh.
a darts convention. So there were the drunk darts players,
Oh,
the bondage people,
And
and
that-
the high school
that
nerd
is
man,
kids.
that
Oh,
is just a logistics nightmare.
yeah.
Like, that is a scheduling nightmare.
it was
What the heck?
really amusing.
All right, here we go. So Jamie Patterson says, "I was the first freshman English class." There you go.
Tell Jamie I'm sorry because I was a terrible teacher
She
the
can
first
hear ya.
year.
Well, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Patty Hernandez says, Patty, our sister says, why are you two so
annoying.
and it's just because we're telling your English teacher you cheated the entire time. Mom did all your stuff.
Yeah.
Her husband is a computer nerd. Oh yeah,
Yes.
he was like computer repair and stuff, right? Or what did he
No,
do?
he's software,
Software.
and platform maintenance, and Luke does that too.
Yeah.
And my son-in-law does it. I have a lot of computer people.
What are here you go. Mom's on here too. Look
What are
at that.
your
What are
kids
your
doing?
kids all doing now? What are your kids all doing? You want to talk about your kids? Oh, hold on, Nathan. We'll
Yeah, to finish the bondage
yeah,
convention
we'll go back to mom's
story,
question. Hold on, mom. Can
Um,
you describe the circumstance?
we also got into, there was bad weather and we couldn't leave Atlanta right away. And we had to stay an extra night at a hotel, and a van comes to pick us up and take us to the airport. And we're in close quarters in the van with a few of the bondage people.
No,
That is so amazing.
And
are they wearing
It's
their
like
bondage
it's
stuff
like a
to the
movie.
airport?
well, they weren't so much not there.
Okay.
But they started talking about props.
Oh my God. Best.
And
English
I just can
teacher
remember
ever.
our guys were just kind of like looking down, trying really hard not to laugh.
I would-
And their chandeliers entered the discussion.
What?
And I just, and I was little Miss English teacher, like,
I remember hearing about that. Now that you say that, I remember hearing about
Oh,
that.
yes.
Kids coming back and talking
So
about
wait, were
it. I
you in
remember-
Nathan's grade? No, he's older.
He was a year older than me.
Older,
But we
yeah,
played
okay.
soccer together, and
Right.
I was very close with lots. It was
And
a
I
lot of fun.
remember Nathan going, all the people that were in the bondage convention had a green
Mhm.
band on their arms. And because that you had to show that to get onto the bondage floor.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Like,
and Nathan remember Nathan saying to me, he said, my innocence is gone. He said, I went to the elevator and there was a guy about 50 years old and he had on a Scooby-Doo shirt and he had on a green armband.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Mom wants to know total 180.
2010 would have been his junior year.
Yeah. What's your kids?
My
What,
kids?
Yeah.
My kids, like almost all kids that you worry about, they turned out fine.
yeah.
Even though no one's at their best in high school.
Yeah. Because you
Um,
had Nathan, Sarah. No, I'm sorry. Isaac,
Sarah, Nathan,
Luke. Okay.
Isaac is the head of the intellectual property department for the Attorney General.
Wow.
And he bikes a lot. He's just full on into being a dad. And Sarah is she's in Virginia, and she's what they call a lead teacher for kindergarten, preschool. She has to go in and help teachers that aren't doing well.
Yep.
Okay. And Nathan would be the biggest surprise, since you knew Goofy Nate.
Yeah.
He has 30 plus patents. He's
really?
He's an engineer for Rockwell.
Oh,
Wow.
And he's their kinesthetics guy and their thermal expert.
Holy moly.
And he's
Where's he live?
he lives in Shaker.
Okay. Wow.
And he's a big biker and a huge reader.
Yeah.
And he has 2 kids. And Luke is he's just, I don't know, he does computer stuff.
Yeah, right.
And he does it really well.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
They're all doing good.
Everybody's doing good.
They have families and they're happy. Yeah.
Nobody ended up in jail, so we're good.
Yes.
Let's see here. Okay. Was John Clark on Jeopardy, or is that a legend?
That's a legend.
That's a legend. He was not. There you go. That's a good question. Emma Lobros need to do a live show at the Youngstown Amphitheater. I don't know if we're ready for that there, buddy.
Also, dart throwing competition sponsored by PBR.
There's a bunch of dorky kids, drunk 40-year-olds, and people dressed in gimp outfits in the same place.
It was really wonderful.
Oh, that is amazing. So let me tell you a good story. And I think
I've got a good one too. So you go ahead.
Let me tell you a good story about Mrs. Molnar. So
Uh-oh.
there was a thing called Senior Skip Day.
Mhm. We had one
And
too. Yeah.
this is legendary. Like, and anybody watching, if you don't know her, this is the stuff that dreams are made of. I was not a senior. I was younger. And 2 of the seniors, or 3 of the seniors, something like that, went golfing at Lakefront Golf Course, which was right down the road from our schools.
Mhm.
And she found out.
Mm-hmm.
She took a journalist from the school newspaper with her, got in a golf cart,
Mm-hmm.
drove to the green that they were driving on,
Mm-hmm.
and handed them detentions.
That's awesome.
It
That's
was
amazing.
wonderful.
Legendary. I
What
mean,
were their faces?
legendary.
How did you pull that off? Like, did you ask what would have done them at the time?
Did you just go and do it? She just went, you don't ask permission for it. You just go do it.
Well, it was
Lakefront's not that far either.
it was my free period. I only knew they were gone because in my one class, I only had a few good readers, and we were doing Macbeth, you know, and it's like, oh my God, you die if you don't have good readers. Okay. And then in the next class, I said, oh, the class went so slow. These guys were missing. And everyone in the class started laughing. I said, what are they? Where are they? And they said, oh, they're golfing at Lakefront. And I said, oh, really? And then I said, I should go give them detentions. And of course, that class got really excited about it. Yeah. And one of the kids was in the class, and she said, she was on the yearbook. And she said,
that was yearbook.
If you go, I'm going with you. I said, well, I guess that's all right.
That's a good journalist.
That is a good journalist.
Yeah.
The story.
Yeah. So we went, and I got a golf cart, which I'd never driven a golf cart before.
Did you rent it, or did they just give it to you? They had to just give it to you.
They just gave it to
Yeah. I mean, give this lady a golf cart.
And I drove across the, I don't know. I don't play golf. I guess it'd be the green part, you know?
Yeah.
The fairway.
Fairway. I drove across that, which I guess you're not supposed to do.
Oh, you went across,
the green. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
Well, I didn't know. And then I found like a path.
Yeah.
Which is where I guess you're supposed
The
to
cart
go, which I
path.
didn't know.
Yes.
And then I came up the path, but my golfer guys were looking, they go, what's that woman doing?
right.
He goes, I don't know, but it looks like Mrs. Molnar. And then I pulled up behind him, and it was all, I mean, they were laughing because
They had
how
to
could
be
you
laughing.
not?
I mean, how could you not?
I would just take the detention and be like, you know what? I'm fine with it. You know, like there's nothing, you know, I'm fine with that.
I had
detention.
Mr. Densevich came in and said, "You're my hero."
It was amazing.
That's the only time he ever said that.
This was talked. Pop says this was talked about at the board meeting, and the members were almost peeing their pants. I mean, it's the best thing you could possibly
Luke,
do.
a story about you too in Mrs. Molnar's freshman English when we were learning about Romeo and Juliet. We were supposed to act out a scene.
I don't remember
And
this at all.
Mrs. Molnar actually says, so typically I used to let my students take home or go home, get newspaper and duct tape and make weapons so we could act out this next scene with swords. But it was all ruined because of your brother. And she looks at me and I'm like, what? And she's like, Luke, he ruined this. And you can tell that story if you want.
So what would happen was Miss Molnar, you would sword fight.
Yeah,
And like Romeo and Juliet, and we had newspapers.
It was acting out a scene, yeah.
But we went home and we wrapped it up, and we all had this thing where we were going to turn on Cody, this kid named Cody.
Mhm.
And it was like, so you're supposed to like fight the houses, and like Mrs. Molnar was like, okay, you're in this house, and you're in this house,
Yeah.
and you two are going to fight.
Yeah.
So as soon as you said action, we all had, and we had
It was
these,
terrible.
we had these newspapers, and, they
And
were
you like taped them up. She said you made like giant, like
Clubs.
like giant swords. Yeah.
So this, and Cody kind of knew it was coming because
Yeah.
he knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So the second she said action, all of us, and again, it was totally me organizing. I said, look,
Yeah.
the second this happens, we're going to turn on, and we're just going to beat up Cody
Yeah.
with these newspapers.
I remember trying to
So-
stop.
So she's like, cut, and we're all like, just keep hitting this Cody.
Kid,
And like, we were beating him so bad, he was like laying down on the
It was
desk.
terrible.
like on the desk.
Yeah.
And there was newspaper everywhere. And that was it. And that was after that, it never happened again.
Well,
Yeah.
I bought foam rubber swords.
Oh, you did
Yeah.
see.
Yes.
She let us take the class
Oh.
period to make our weapons, but she monitored.
Oh,
all
Isaac.
of it.
Or I would only give 2 sheets of newspaper.
Oh,
Mhm.
we had like
Yeah,
whole,
we were
we
limited.
had whole newspapers.
Yeah,
wrapped in
no,
duct
no,
tape.
no.
It was like, oh,
That's what I mean, learning curve.
Yeah.
that's-
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
R.I.P. Lakefront Golf Course.
Yeah. yeah.
It was
that's-
$9 for 9 holes and a cart, which
Yeah.
was great.
Oh, that's funny.
Another story in that same freshman English class. Do you remember Matt McFarland? Matt McFarland, he was in that class too. But so Dan Good, also a troublemaker, fellow
Oh
troublemaker.
yeah, I remember.
So Dan Good had Matt McFarland sitting in front of him, and he acted like he was drawing something on Matt's back. So he's like taking his marker and like acting like he's drawing something. At typical,
Yeah.
like what a ninth grade male would draw on someone. So he acts like he's drawing it. And this kid, Matt turns around. And he's like, "What are you drawing on me?" And Mrs. Molnar catches wind of it, and she's like, "What are you two doing?" And Matt's like, "Mrs. Molnar, I have something drawn on my back, and Dan drew it on me." And Mrs. Molnar, she's like, "Turn around." And turns around, looks at him, and she's like, "Oh!" And Matt's like, "What is it? What is it?" And she's like, "Matt, go down to the principal's office right now. And Matt's like, okay, I'm so sorry. It wasn't my fault. He's like, it wasn't my fault. She's like, go down there right now. And then he leaves, and Dan's like, I didn't draw anything on his back. And she's like, and he like leaves the room, and she's like, I've never done this before. She's like, I've never played along with a prank. She's like, I've never done this before. What's gonna happen? She's like, what's gonna happen? I don't know what's gonna happen. Am I gonna get in trouble? Like her mind is just going through. She's like, I'm gonna get in trouble. And then Mrs. Morrow's like, we're gonna get back to class. So we all go back to class. Like 10 minutes later, Matt comes up. He walks in the room with his head down, and his face is so red. And he's like, I hate all of you. He just sits down, and we continue class. Like, doesn't say a word of what happened in the office. He just comes back up and sits down and acts like nothing happened.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Man. So let's talk. Do you have another question? Look at how organized you were. Like super organized.
I was so excited for
You
Mrs.
never
Molnar.
write down
I never write down that unless it's a really good guest.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, what was I gonna say? No, but so we skipped Macbeth. We didn't do Macbeth, I don't think.
Sometimes I did Macbeth and sometimes I didn't.
Yeah,
We didn't do Macbeth.
Yeah.
did.
So
You were the year where I changed everything up.
After us or before us?
Well, no, I mean my AP class did Hamlet.
Okay.
We started to do Macbeth, and it wasn't your class; it was a different class.
I
but
was
they were-
not in AP for that, by the
No,
way.
no,
no.
but they were really rude. It was Roger Gaskins and Joe Sanfrey and a group of, I don't know. It was I was starting with some skits, and they just got really rude, and I.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and I just I tend to not get angry, or at least I don't inside myself. I don't feel angry, but if I feel like I'm going to lose control, I just am quiet.
Yeah.
So I just said, okay, do something else for the rest of the class. And then the next day I said, okay, this isn't going to work. So what we're going to do, and I think with that class, we watched 3 Shakespeare movies.
Yeah, we did. I remember. Yeah.
We watched, I think, Henry V.
Yep.
And we watched Macbeth.
Yeah.
And we watched Much Ado About Nothing.
That's what, yeah.
So you got a history and a comedy and a tragedy. And I'm not sure that wasn't a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Because Shakespeare was meant to be seen.
Yeah.
And you understood enough.
Mhm.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Actually, yeah, we watched.
We didn't watch any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Which one was the one with who's Iago, and is that Macbeth?
No, that's Othello.
Othello. So we did that one, but I think that would have been in June. Maybe that was in junior year. I forget. We did all. I mean, I remember all that stuff.
Yeah.
I do remember much to do about nothing because it had Keanu Reeves in it.
Yeah,
Keanu
and he
Reeves.
played a really bad,
a young Keanu Reeves.
bad villain. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I do remember that too. Wow. So can I ask you a question about teachers? Do you guys ever go back to the teacher's room and be like, "Oh my god, that kid's such a jerk"?
Yeah, like Luke's really pissing me off today. And then I have in my class too. He's the worst.
You try not to.
Uh-huh.
To be really honest, you try not to. Because you're warned about that a lot in teacher training.
Really talking.
Yeah.
Because if you start talking like that, you could really screw a kid.
Yeah.
Because like they could be, oh, this
Yeah,
kid's
it's like
trouble.
team up on him.
Yeah,
yeah,
right, exactly.
yeah,
That
like
makes
gang up.
sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you try. I've asked about kids before, but it's always been in the framework of how they learn. You know, like
Right.
What was your best way of approaching
Or dealing with a difficult kid or something like that.
this
That makes
child?
sense.
Yeah, you try not to. It's not to say it doesn't happen,
Yeah.
because sometimes you just get so frustrated, but usually you try really hard not to. All of the teachers I knew tried really hard not to do that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you have any classes that were like in your head? So you're like, oh my gosh, that class was just the worst. So you said your first ones, right?
Without giving any.
I loved my first ones. I didn't think I was very good. That's a difference.
Critiquing yourself.
Okay. I had 2 classes that I was really happy to see go.
Yeah.
Out of 20.
Oh, there you go.
Out of I guess that wouldn't be 24. It'd be probably 12. But
Yeah.
Yeah. And one class really hated. It was because they really didn't like me.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Wow.
And I mean, I think to the point where the valedictorian even mentioned it in her address.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So there
That's
was
crazy.
a lot of, so that was a lot of stuff. And I thought, okay, if it's like this again, I got to get out of this job because I can't handle it. I
Yeah.
didn't deal well with it.
Mm.
Wow.
I was my worst teacher that year because I just couldn't function that way.
Right.
Yeah, you're like stressing
Okay.
yourself
Yeah,
out,
right.
kind of.
Wow.
Yeah. it didn't
Yeah,
work out.
well, I found that I needed to have some kind of reciprocal relationship
Yeah.
with students. And the other class that I was happy to see go was because they didn't like each other. And I just knew they would be happier when they
Well, I
left.
remember my class, like our senior year, and you said this. It happened a lot for
Mhm.
seniors, where it kind of like all implodes. I don't know how your
Yeah.
class did. Like we
Yeah.
were all fighting by the end, and people were getting along.
Yeah.
and like I don't know how your class was, but
Well,
that's
that's
kinda
that whole goodbye thing.
like, yeah, it is. It was like added stress, and like I liked high school. I like college way more than
Yeah,
high school.
absolutely.
way more
Yeah.
than high school. I felt like, and it was weird was I grew up with all those kids, and I'm friends with some of them still. You know, like Larry and
Yeah.
Derek. You know, I talk to
Yeah.
this guy still. But like my college friends, I think it's because I live with them.
Yeah.
I'm closer with them still. It's very strange, even though I was with those other ones longer
Yeah.
term time period. Now you're still
I
friends
have
with your
I
guys.
have all my high school friends
And-
still. A majority of the people.
Yeah,
like
see,
Jordan
so my-
Baker,
yeah, so that might be
Billy
different.
Lute,
Right.
oh my goodness, Aaron Be About, who
Yeah, and it just more might be a personal thing too, like
Joel
how
Skidmore.
how everybody comes out. Because I know some of those guys still hang
Yeah.
out together, and it's like, you
yeah.
know what I mean?
But I mean, there are plenty of people. Like if I saw lots, I mean, I
Yeah.
played sports. Any of the
Yeah.
guys I played sports with, we were all so close that
Yeah.
Kluczynski, Zach Zoper, all of them. I went to
Did
all
you
their
do
weddings and
Total officer. Did you do journals?
journals.
No.
He didn't do journals. You made.
I'm telling you, she really got. We were watching one of my favorite movies. She made us watch. She made us watch a movie called Once, which was like, was it technically considered a musical?
Yeah.
Once.
I should.
That has one of my favorite songs of all time.
I should have brought. I have them still. I still have my journals. She
No,
made us
you
write
didn't do
journals.
any of that
She-
stuff,
and
dude.
she's like, we're like, well, what do we write about? She's like, whatever you want. I'm like, I need to talk.
I think her. I'm telling you, there were times where she came in her movie class was bleeding into our high
Yeah,
school English because
that's
it was her
true.
last year.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. What she's like, what are they gonna do? Fire me? Like, this is what we're doing, and this is what. But she made it so interesting, and we read so many good books that it was like, after like I never actually got to sit in on or take her movie class, but like after watching movies with her and her breaking stuff down for us, like I never watched movies the same. I like look for everything.
yeah.
What's the meaning behind it? Everything in every single movie I ever watch now because of you. So
I thought that was I actually thought that was a kind of literacy that was really important.
yeah,
And that
Movies.
yeah, and
Oh,
understanding
100%.
them and figuring them out and thinking about them a little bit more.
We both do that when we watch movies.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still to this day
yeah,
try and look because there's underlying things. all the time.
absolutely, yeah. And I
100%.
watch movies. I'm like, Mrs. Molnar would like what
Yep.
they're doing here.
And the other thing that happens is grandchildren.
Yeah,
Okay. I used to go to every single football game, almost all the basketball games.
Yeah,
I'd go to cross country. I'd go to volleyball games.
Mm,
I would do so much. And then I got grandchildren.
yeah.
And we would all go up to
All
Shaker
change. Yeah.
on Friday nights, and I would go up there. And then if I didn't work on Saturday and Sunday, I'd fall behind.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
it changed. In my last year, you poor person, that's when that's when I had to get a hip replacement.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, I had, and
You
it
handle
was
it like a champ. I don't remember.
yeah, it hurt so bad. I
Wow.
was lucky to make it through a day.
Wow. Anna Anderson. Anna had it. Anna Anderson says, I found my old journals with their classes. Yeah, I was reading
Yeah.
through my journals. I was like, oh my gosh. Because Isaac, you'd write these journals
Yeah.
and she'd read them and make comments.
Yeah.
So like
Oh,
I'd
really?
write about like girlfriends and
No, we didn't do any of that.
crap going down, and she'd be like, oh, and like she was mad at us one time. I wish I would have brought it in.
Mhm.
She got mad at us, and she's like, I don't want to, like, you know how she said she shuts down? She said she doesn't,
Yeah.
she said just do something else. She made us do journals for the entire
I remember
class.
that too. I remember.
She made us do journals the entire class, and I was literally like, I wish I could have brought it because I was literally like, I see you up there sitting up there, Mrs. Molnar, doing whatever you're doing. And I'm like, like I was like, oh, making us do journals all of a sudden, blah blah blah. And like, so her comment was, you're still. She was like, you did them for 45 minutes. I win. Like, it was like comments like that.
Did you get to analyze? Did you get to bring in music and analyze like lyrics and songs?
Yes.
That was fun, and we all had to pick our song our senior year, like our favorite song. Yeah, that was great.
My favorite journal was when my son Luke had to write a journal.
It's amazing.
My mom's really on me lately. Can't stand her.
He would every journal he would write. Wow, some of my friends were talking, and their moms make them breakfast when they wake up. I said that would be really nice. Oh well, till later.
Exactly.
I've been talking to some of my friends, and their moms do all their laundry.
It's amazing. Oh, that is so fun. Did you ever get you out of class? Did you ever get out of how much? Let's talk.
So no, here's the best advice that I give to any student in high school, like now, is become an office aide.
Oh, it's the best.
Because for the teachers,
yeah,
all the classes bleed together, and if they see you in the hallways, even during one period delivering stuff, they think you're an office aide all periods of the day, and then they're like, "Oh, you're an office aide, you're cool." Yeah. And then I had teachers like, "Aren't your second period?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
You got voted class clown?
Yeah, class clown, the biggest flirt.
So I got biggest flirt and hall roamer. Good job. Hall roamer and teacher's pet.
Yeah, did you really?
Teacher's pet.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I mean,
I don't understand that.
See, Mrs. Molnar doesn't understand it.
I feel like there were some. I think Elder had. Did you have Elder? Yeah, you had Elder.
Yeah, Mrs. Elder.
Everybody,
Mrs.
yeah,
Toy,
we all had Elder
all
too.
loved me.
And Miss Toy. Yeah, they all called me Schuster. Like Mrs. Molnar called me Isaac.
She was on to me. She knew.
Yeah.
She knew. Some of the other teachers, I kind of,
Yeah.
But yeah, she knew. But I'll never forget. I was an office aide. So Mr. B.
Yeah.
Mr. B was still there. It was like our freshman or sophomore year. He was still there.
Yeah.
Okay. And Mrs. Ferraro and Mrs. Wellman, who I just completely loved me, made me an office aide. And I was sitting in there. I'll never forget this. I'm sitting in there in the desk, like by Mrs. Wellman, and Mr. B walks in, and he's like, Mr. B's like,
who's Mr. B?
Mr. Bobovnik.
Yeah.
And he wasn't
there.
Take
Oh,
Mr. Dunham and Mr. Rowan, not him, not them.
Mhm.
Okay. He's just an older school principal.
Yeah.
Walks into the office and goes, what the heck are you doing here? And I said, I'm an office aide. And he looks at me, he goes, and he looks at Wellman and Mrs. Wellman and Miss Farrow. He goes, he is not an office aide. I said, I'm an office aide, Mr. B. And he's like, and Mrs. Wellman, you leave him alone, Don.
Yeah. Who was the
Bob?
Who was the chemistry teacher?
Mr. Ferrani.
So he was, I've told you this story before.
Yeah.
But we had skip up day in the old school, my sophomore year, going into junior year, which would be the new school. And we went into Ferrani's class, and all the smart kids sat in the front of the skip up day, and he like explains how everything's going to work the following year.
Did you ever hear this story? This is amazing.
He says to if anybody wants to do extra credit for next year, these are some books. You can take these, do all this work. You'll start off the year with 50 bonus points. And all these smart kids go home and do all this extra credit work. And then he retires. and Mrs. Crumpack comes in as chemistry teacher, and all these really, really smart kids come in, and they're like, the old teacher promised us that we would get extra credit, and she's like, I can't accept that. I'm so sorry. Like he went out trolling the entire grade trying to get him to do chemistry problems.
See, if Mr. Brady was like that, nobody ever knew that. But he was like
totally cold-blooded, totally kept a straight face the whole time. I was like, that's amazing.
He debated. No, he had a hard time deciding about retirement.
Really,
Yeah.
Mr. Brady? Oh, he was so good. I liked him.
Yeah.
Mr. Savage, but Ferrani.
Oh, they were fantastic. They were master teachers.
Yeah.
Patton was so, he was like, I didn't have him for government, and it was almost disappointing. Like,
he was so amazing.
Everybody complained about him, right? Because he had these huge. I got A's. In every one of his classes, and I to this day I don't know why, or because he was interesting. He'd get up there, people like, oh, he just get up there. I was like, it's awesome because his stories
were so good.
You learn so much, and like I wouldn't even get the best grades in his class. Like my freshman year, I remember getting
Oh, he's
all
great.
A's and then a C in his history class.
Yeah.
But I still learned so much in his class, and like it was so much
Did
fun.
you have Elder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and like people give her problems. I
loved Elder,
I did
too.
good in
Yeah,
her class.
Elder was
I-
great.
I did good in all. I
Yeah.
didn't. You know, it was very
my
strange.
only quarrel with Toy was that all of her stuff was out of 10 points. So
I remember
everything,
that everything was
from
10. Yeah, I
giant
remember that.
papers
Yeah.
to the smallest document you would have
Yep.
to write was all 10 points. And the best thing I ever saw a kid do was he said he like confronted her on it. And he's like, everything's based out of 10 points, right? She's like, yeah. And she is just assigned this giant
So don't
end
do
of
it.
year
So
paper.
don't do it.
He just didn't do it. He's like, I'm just not doing it. She's like, what? He's like, it's only 10 points. I've taken all my points, added them all up, and I'll still get a B. Don't care, not doing it. And then she's like, you can't do that. He's like, well, give me a 0 out of 10. I'll take it. It was like, I was like, wow, that is ballsy.
The
But-
only one teacher, not to talk anything because she might be.
Yeah, but no, I learned so much. from
Mrs.
Toy,
Gamble.
too.
Mrs. Gamble's the only one.
I loved her.
and you loved her.
I loved her.
Oh, geez,
loved her.
she was-
I love it's old school. You come in, you do the homework problems from the day before. She teaches something new, and then you go
Yeah,
home, do
I
the
get-
homework
I
problems,
get-
and
I
start
get-
it all
I get
over again.
really bored with
Because
that.
she like publicly
I need
humiliates
stuff like
you.
this.
She publicly humiliates you if you don't do the homework. So that's why kids. And I'm like, you
Oh,
don't
I hate
care. I am stressed. Like I'm gonna get publicly humiliated if I don't do my homework.
Yeah.
So like I learned because I was forced to.
I still
learn.
had good grades. I still had good grades in high school.
Yeah.
College was all new. I
I
went
did
off
better
to
in
college at
college.
Westminster. And I graduated with the 2.2.
And you're doing fine.
I'm doing all right. Hey,
Yeah.
real fast before we go, I wanted to share
Alyssa said, Isaac, check your phone.
some pictures, Mrs. Boulder. See if you remember these or not. All right. So
Alyssa says you're wrong. I won class clown. Me and you, we won most talkative.
So like Isaac, look at this. So this is kids in Mrs. Molnar's class having fun. This is on your Facebook page. I grabbed these off your Facebook page, by the way.
Oh, that was my
Most
film studies
talkative.
class. They
Yeah.
were doing stuff. Yeah.
Isaac, I had to get this one of Mrs.
Remember.
Molnar because this is what it looked like whenever we were. 'cause
Oh, Mrs. Molnar's
Let me
old
explain.
class.
My English class, and she's got a. We came right after lunch,
Mhm.
so we
Yes.
were fired up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she remembers. I knew she was going to remember
Yes.
that. It's like Brian, Shelbus, Hugh, and it was amazing.
Wow, that's
look
so
at-
cool.
This is her yelling at. This is what I picture her yelling at us.
No, no. I was posing for a scene for like Top Gun with honestly, I was doing
You
film
remember that.
studies.
There you go.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And then look, I found a picture of our buddy Robbie.
Oh, Robbie. Yeah.
And then here is a picture of Isaac's senior year.
No, that's freshman year.
I know,
That's
I
freshman
know
year.
it is. I just wanted to say.
And it might even be sophomore year, but that's me. Yeah, that is me.
Look, and then here's a little picture
It's
of
me as a
Isaac,
senior.
and then here's a senior. Look at Lucas and Adam.
Aw.
Yeah.
All right, Isaac, ready? You want to see what I look like?
Yeah, you look a little bit older than me. Like you
Don't
I'm
I?
such a
Like,
late
right?
bloomer.
Like,
Dude,
look,
I
so
grew
here's you.
3 or 4 inches
So
after high school.
This is you in basketball,
Yeah.
right? And this is me, my senior year in basketball. You look like you're 12, and I look like I'm 18 or 19.
Yeah.
So
I bet it was the lifting weights. Like I wasn't lifting weights. You had much more testosterone flowing
That-
through your blood.
Wait, I was gonna say here's a nice picture of me my senior year.
Yeah, with the mullet.
So yeah, this is let's see. Was there anything else I had in here? No, that was it. I don't know. I was just laughing. I was looking at pictures. I was trying to find pictures of you.
All Ohio. What was that? That's
I played in the Ohio versus PA.
look at you, dude. I couldn't even grow facial hair. You got a little chin strap going on.
Yeah, I was all right. So oh my gosh. So yeah, that was it. So who's your favorite Schuster? We're at an hour. Who's your favorite Schuster?
Okay, can I ask 5 questions real quick?
Yes.
go ahead.
Oh my gosh, she's asking us questions.
Yes.
Ooh, we're getting interviewed.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
If given the smallest opportunity, would you destroy a teacher's classroom by turning all of her posters upside down? Luke.
Yes. I probably did. Did you
I
do that, Isaac?
Would I or did I?
Let's say, did you?
No, I was terrified.
Okay,
of
10
teachers.
points for you, Isaac. 0 points for you.
This is not
Okay.
fair. This is
I
set
held
up.
All right.
teachers to such high regard.
Furthermore,
Okay.
would you further that destruction by also turning every single desk in the room upside down? Luke.
Probably.
You turned every single desk.
Every
upside
single
down.
desk.
No, I would never do that.
And Luke, that would be, or Isaac, that would be
This is not fair.
If given the opportunity, would you make positive suggestions for improving instruction or criticize
These are
the
so-
current method?
Yeah, Luke's bad with management. He's not very good
Okay,
with
Luke,
authority. He
would
has
you-
authority
Would
issues.
you
for sure.
criticize or give positive?
I would. I'd criticize. You know what?
You
I
would.
criticize everything.
You could ask his manager that question right now,
Yes.
and it would still. Be
I
the same.
criticize everything. Don't. Oh my
And-
God.
No, I would.
And Isaac?
I am not quite. I'm not quite
You'd
that
still
bad.
You
but-
gave me positive
Yeah,
feedback.
yeah.
Yes. If given-
because you know this is she'd be like, get the journals out. Oh, these freaking journals are so
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
all that she just like
If-
she remembers.
If given a lengthy assignment, would you take down the pertinent information that you needed, or would you complain about it?
I would probably complain about
Okay,
it.
that's
These are set up.
and the last question. When was the last time you read a book, not children's books?
Oh, she threw
I'm
that in
working.
there.
I'm working on one right now.
All right, so
yeah,
that's
you're-
I'm working. I've been reading.
All
I've been
right,
reading
so-
a lot lately.
You get 10 points. All right, Luke, when was the last time you read a book?
When I went on my honeymoon, I read The Hobbit.
All right,
I've been married.
so
I've
Luke,
been married for 15 years almost.
all right, out of a possible 50 points, Luke, you got 0.
This
And
is not fair.
Isaac,
She set this
you
up.
got 50.
Screw you, Luke.
So I've always been told that English teachers are too subjective.
Uh,
I'm going by the numbers.
There was one thing I remember.
Did we flip your desk upside down? I think we did, right?
Yes,
I can't remember doing that now.
yes.
See, the problem was Mrs. Molnar was so fun to mess with because
Yeah.
she would get mad at us, but
She would get mad, but she wouldn't punish creativity. Like if you did my senior project, I had a co-senior project with Matt McFarland, and we did our mission trip to Mexico. We raised all kinds of money, and Matt McFarland did all the writing. And I was like, Matt, I'll raise all the money. I'll do all the sales stuff. I'll go door to door. I'll get all the money if you just do all the writing. He's like, deal. I'll write your stuff for you. So I did all the sales stuff, and which turns out good for my job.
There you go.
And then raised all the money for the
So
mission
funny.
trip, and he did all the writing. Mrs. Molnar called me on it. She's like, I know Matt did your stuff. I know Matt did your stuff. And I was like, Mrs. Molnar, she's like, I know you can't just have him do all your stuff for you, Isaac. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I do remember.
But-
We did a lot. Yeah, we did the desk thing. Oh yeah, we used
But
to
I would never mess. Only teachers who like I knew wouldn't care. You could.
I
Mess
think
with.
my senior year in our class, she actually gave us assigned seats. Like we were.
I think so
seniors.
too. Yeah, we were assigned.
Because because she was separating us though.
no, it was
Huh?
Well, for you guys, yeah. For his class, no, it was just
No.
where you sat.
yeah, it was where we sat
No.
the first week. It's just
Yeah.
she said, hey, if you're gonna sit there, sit there the
She
rest
gave
of
us
the year.
assigned seats and moved us around because I wasn't allowed to sit by Hugh because I would cause it in Chalba. Like
Mhm.
we had so many bad kids in our class.
Yeah,
We had a lot. We were
Josh Wallet.
Wallet was in that class.
Oh yeah.
Tolson was in that class.
No, yeah.
No, yeah, right,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
Yeah, and Wallet was in the class in 5th period. He was
Okay, so
earlier.
no, but I want to say like Chelbus, Hively. Oh yeah, we were so bad. And we come out of class, and like I said, it was like lunch. So we would. She used to get mad at us because we come down and she'd hear us coming from the lunch because we were screaming
Yeah.
and yelling down the hall.
and then you grow up, and I grew up, and I always was so like held teachers in such a high regard. And now, like one of my best friends, Jordan, is a math teacher at East Palestine, and I'm like, you're teaching our youth, like. You're my friend. I experienced college with your teaching, and I'm like, oh my gosh, teachers are only human. Like,
yeah, oh yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm like, oh my gosh.
Look at here's this lovely lady, Mrs. Schuster says. Any advice for this generation of teachers?
That's a good
Oh.
question.
Wow, Maggie.
Good question.
She was a nerd in high school too, by the way.
Nerd.
Freaking nerd.
I guess keep your sense of humor. I feel really sorry for this generation. of
Really?
teachers. So many tests they have to take. So many tests they have to give.
The planning they do.
The planning they have to
yeah.
do. It's you just the censorship. No, I'm so glad I'm
yeah.
out when I'm glad I taught when I did.
I don't know if you know. She's a kindergarten teacher.
Oh,
25 kindergartners in a class right now. It's like
wow.
way too many. And it's
Way too many. And there's my daughter, I mean, works so much with that. There's so much more. I think there's so much more planning at that level
Yeah,
than there
and
is
expectations too, right?
Yes.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And there's such key skills that the kids have. I mean, I could sit back and say, well, if they don't get Macbeth, it's not going to hurt their lives,
right.
But in
I love
kindergarten,
that.
those are basic. Those are pretty basic skills.
Yeah. She asked us the other day, Isaac and I. She asked us the question: would you rather go substitute for her at the fair, or no? I'm sorry, substitute her class. Right, for the
As
day
a kindergarten teacher.
as a kindergarten teacher, or go clean the fair after the fair. And I said I would go clean the fair 8 hours all day before I watch 25. I don't even like hang out with my kids.
Yeah, I said I would be much better suited for the fair. I could get a lot more done. I feel like my skills aren't.
Oh man,
the best.
Yeah.
Quizlet made the teaching profession. I don't know what that is. Bad because all the kids have.
Yeah.
Oh, he's talking about
Answers from their phone. Yeah, you can get all answers for almost everything online now.
The
It's
state
crazy.
testing is BS. Pull your kids out of the state tests.
That's all the kids have to answer.
Well, Mrs. Molnar, before we leave, I just wanted to say one more thing. So
Yes.
when I first reached out to you, you told me why do you want a retired English teacher,
Great. This has
a
been great.
retired English teacher to come on your podcast? You guys are shore up on content or whatever you said. And I thought about that the whole day after you messaged me. And I said, I have talked to so many people who didn't have a great high school English experience, and they didn't watch the movies that we watched, read the books we read. They didn't have any of this crazy stuff that we did with you. And then I was like, analyzing us, and I was like, we work for a bank. We didn't do anything the normal loan office. We don't operate the way a normal loan officer does. I was like, Mrs. Molnar may have influenced the MLO bros. She might be the person who started this.
She also probably reads my Facebook post sometimes like, oh my god, his grammar is so
that's what I was
bad.
gonna ask too. When you see your past students on Facebook, are you like, oh, that's wrong. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, that's incorrect. I'm so terrified that
No, I never ever.
I was intimidated to just message her because I'm like,
No.
I'm not gonna type this right. Like,
No.
there's gonna be grammatical errors in this, and she's gonna judge me.
I mean, my job was correcting grammar, but I tried never to let it get in the way of understanding the story, because that's like what people are having to say is what's important.
Do you see your students now and see what they're doing and be like, oh, that makes total sense? Or do you see some and you're like, how the heck did that happen? Or
a mix of both, I guess.
Or is it that person was supposed to be really good at something, or they were so smart? What happened? They
no, you know what? I just look at all of them and they seem like you're looking at the Facebook pictures, which is
which
curated.
Real life anyway.
It's not real life,
right?
But it just seems like they all turned out okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's gonna not get everything they wanted.
Right.
Everyone's gonna fall down along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It seems like they were good. They were good kids. They were fun.
That's awesome. Well, there you go. Well, this has been good.
This is a fun one.
We should try and get Ferrani on next.
I didn't have him. I just want to congratulate him. Like, sir, I didn't have you as a teacher, but that was incredible what you did there.
Who else did you have on there?
So I didn't have Patton as a senior.
He retired.
He retired
because
my
the schools
junior
He
year.
didn't have Densevich.
Oh,
He
Densevich
didn't
was
have
amazing.
Patton.
See, those guys.
I had Patton freshman.
Yeah. He didn't
World history,
have
which is incredible.
Ferrani.
I had.
See, these guys are all.
Crump.
And to me, they were the heart of the
Oh,
school.
100%.
I had.
Isaac, you would have
Ridge.
loved.
I had Ridge.
Mr. Ridge is
Ridge
amazing.
was there.
You would have loved Densevich.
Yeah.
And you would have loved Ferrani. Densevich was.
Yeah.
An
Landry was there for you, right?
Landry was there. I took Spanish though.
Yeah, I took German, and then
Mr. Landry's another just pivotal.
Oh, absolutely. They're all absolutely. Mr. Yeagley, you had Yeagley.
Yeah.
We could have Yeagley on us. Who we could have on?
We could.
He'd be a good one too.
Yeah, wait till football season.
Wait till I ain't getting him anytime.
I heard
soon.
Yeagley once as an office aide. I heard Yeagley parents of a football player came in, and from the other room, sitting in the other room and just eavesdropping. He's like, the parents are like, how's my kid doing in football? He's been really working hard. And the dad's like all excited. He's like, oh, he's working so hard. He's trying to get better. Yada, 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 lifting. I see him working so hard. They leave into the opposite aide lady. He's like, I have no idea who their kid is. It's just like,
it's amazing.
I have no idea who their kid is.
Look, hi, there's parents. Hi, Mrs. Molnar, Isaac. We had the best teachers. How about Dave? Is principal.
I know.
I know.
That's great.
He's a principal. Let's see here. I see him daily. It's so funny because Dave and I, because we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
We mess around so much. Did I tell you at the football game in Canfield? This is a great. So he's coaching. I'm my kid, right? He's coaching my kid, and he something happened. He's yelling at the ref or something like that. And I literally across the field, I'm like, Coach, sit down and stop being a crybaby. He takes a football. Okay. And again, I'm at the end of the field. There's all these parents who don't realize
what's going on. Yeah.
He takes a football and throws it at me across the field in this middle of this game. And everyone you just hear everybody go, oh my gosh. So, all right. Well,
Why
John
is
Krause.
it so hot in here?
I don't know. John
Yeah.
Krause says, "Oh, John Krause, look at all these guys. Everybody loves it. See, Mrs. Molnar, you got all your fans here. Everybody, please like and follow the MLO Bros. We appreciate it. Isaac, give her a speech.
The MLO Bros actually stands for Mortgage Loan Originator Brothers. So if you, a family member, a coworker, friends need to buy, sell, or refinance, please give us a call. Please think of us. It's how we keep the lights on. It's how we pay the bills. So we greatly appreciate it. My NMLS number is 1949316. Luke, what's your
5625.
We got to say those so we don't get sued. You can call me or Luke. Our information's on the MLO Bros. My cell phone's 330-921-8978. If you want to reach out, we greatly appreciate it. But
and then-
thank you all so much for watching.
Yeah, and then tomorrow we have our sports show at 3.
Are we still going to lunch with
Yep,
Cromer?
yep, we're going with
Sweet.
Cromer. Monday at 9 a.m. we have a morning show. Cheryl Janetti. Her husband passed away.
Mhm.
Meatball was his name. He's a baseball guy.
Okay.
And she's trying to get she's setting up a foundation to get a athletic complex in Portland.
That's amazing. I
That
love
is
that.
amazing. So we're doing that. We don't have a guest on Tuesday.
When are we doing the hair thing?
I'm going to do that too. It's very busy right now. Oh, the hair thing?
The foundation thing.
Yeah, that's coming too. And then 2 weeks from now, we have Hannah from Cider the Dope.
Dope Cider House?
Yes.
Downtown, from downtown?
Yes.
Sweet.
Okay, Ms. Molnar, thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming on, Mr.
My
Moore. That
pleasure.
was
We
fun.
appreciate it. See, everybody, we got to talk to our old English teacher.
See, we weren't that bad. I mean, Luke was bad, but I wasn't that bad.
For what?
What do you mean? You were bad. You were bad.
I was
You
not.
flipped desks, dude. You're a
I
terrible
didn't
student.
flip desks. We moved them around.
You flipped him over.
You flipped them over.
She,
all
that
of
you
them.
walked in and they were all
Yeah.
upside down.
Yeah.
Flips
I
over.
was at a staff meeting early in the morning.
Yeah.
You and Natalie Toy.
We did. We totally. What else did we used to? Yeah, I did flip all your pictures around too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. That's just mean.
It was fun because she would get mad though.
Did you get
It
a
was-
detention for this? I
No.
hope
Oh,
she
it
did
was so
laugh.
funny. How did you not laugh?
See, she does not punish
was
creativity.
But if you
so-
think about that. So I would totally do that now. Like
Yeah.
I would do that to Maggie at home. Like,
Yeah.
I would flip all
Oh,
the
yeah.
pictures around. Like it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
how we are.
See,
It's
I
like-
would do it. I would do that to any family member,
No.
anybody I was close with. I was so terrified of
Oh.
teachers.
No, Mrs. Molnar wasn't gonna do
Yeah.
it. She wasn't gonna do anything. She wasn't gonna do anything.
My life story.
Did she ever take you out of class?
For what?
For like if you had a study hall or something?
No.
No.
She did for me.
Did she? For what? What'd you take him out of class for?
She
I
liked me
can't
more.
even
Oh
remember.
my goodness.
No, just because you had like ninth period.
Mhm.
Like Jody was up there and Mandy Baker were up there, and I'd go up there sometimes.
Oh, yeah. When that was, yeah, we didn't have as many periods in the day. They didn't have the study halls. We had longer periods.
Yes.
Oh, we were like 52 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So no, we had
But-
like study halls and stuff.
But when we had
But we had
40
study
minute,
halls.
when we had 40-minute periods, there would be planning. I'd have like sometimes 2 planning periods.
Yeah.
They were 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Ah.
And so sometimes kids would just come up in my room and say, could we just hang out in here? They didn't want to
Yeah.
be in a study hall. And I'd say, sure, I didn't
Huh.
care.
I would wander the halls.
oh, I wandered the halls all day.
Yeah.
I was
We
loud.
would play.
Dude, there's so many things.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. We
go
had
to
a
the gym.
we had TV One, or did you have the channel One, the news thing? Did you guys have anything like that?
Nah.
See, we had that,
Yeah.
and I almost caused a riot because I said I don't know if you remember this or not. I said first one down to Mrs. Toy's room gets like a free pizza from lunch or something like that,
Oh my
like in the
God.
morning. So 100 kids went running downstairs, and I wasn't allowed to do that anymore.
Huh.
These are the things, but I never really got in trouble though. All right, everybody, we'll see you guys. Oh, you missed it already, Dave. We already talked about that.
Pierens was the gym teacher at one point when I was
Yeah.
a senior.
Yeah.
Or no, I think it was sophomore. We were at the old school, and the jazz band would play us in dodgeball. That was fun.
Oh, that's amazing too.
The jazz band versus
Yeah,
the freshman's
That's amazing.
gym class.
Yeah.
That was fun.
All right, everybody, we got to go to bed. Mrs. Molnar's got stuff to do. You're retired though. You really don't, right?
I really don't.
Okay. All right, everybody. See you guys all tomorrow, or we'll see you guys tomorrow at 3 for our football show. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Mrs. Molnar.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Music.